Hello everyone, back tuning into today's second video. We're going to have a look at whether next week's 10 days or today's second video, which will take us to around the 18th of July. We'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and ECM ensembles running to around a couple of weeks. We'll also, of course, have a look at the CFS V2 for the next month. Now, the first video released earlier on today is having a look at events that we've got coming up over the weekend. So we've got big events this weekend, sporting events. It's Wimbledon finals, it's British Grand Prix, and there's some festivals going on as well. So have a look at that video if you've got any interest in what weather may be doing this weekend. Right, so let's get on with the video then and start off by having a look at the 500 millibar height anomaly flowcharts from the Penn State University. We've got the ECMWF here on the top, but as we often see at the moment, we haven't got the GFS on the bottom. Unfortunately, the GFS is missing from this chart again, so not sure what the problem is. This has been ongoing at Penn State University since the upgrade with the GFS. I'm not sure why it's made such a big difference to being able to get the 500 millibar height anomaly flowchart up at Penn State University. But anyway, it's missing, so we've only got the ECM to look at today again. So here we go. This is the 500 millibar height anomaly flowchart from the ECMWF for the 7 to 10 day time frame. Takes us to around the 18th, I should say, of July. So we find that we've got this trough of below average heights extending from northern Europe down the eastern side of Europe. That's a big trough there from kind of like northern Scandinavia all the way down to the Adriatic. We've got this blocking area of high pressure sitting to our north, extending into towards Greenland. So cool air is being pushed down into central and eastern parts of Europe via that trough of low pressure and the blocking to the north of the UK. For us, though, we're actually in this sort of flat type westerly flow, very slack sort of westerly flow. It's coming across the Atlantic, bringing sort of shallow areas of low pressure. Jet stream is being forced a bit to our south by that blocking area of high pressure, but overall it's not as unsettled as it is with this trough that's across northern and northeastern parts of Europe. These are the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. We're looking at London today. So the red line here is the 30-year upper air temperature average for London. Starting off actually rather on the cool side with the upper air temperatures there, but it does feel quite warm in the sunshine. That's due to the strength of the sun, of course, to this time of year. Over the next few days, over the next week or so, actually, it's going to be relatively warm with the upper air temperatures. They're going a bit above average. So we're going to be seeing temperatures kind of like mid-20s Celsius down on the surface quite widely across England and Wales, starting around middle of the week and going into the weekend. After that, as we head through to the second half of the month, and that's this period just here, we find that there's a lot of scatter. There are some quite cool ensemble members, but you'll notice that there are also now appearing, right at a very extended range, some quite hot ensemble members. These ones just here are kind of like going to a hot sort of level, which is around 15 to 20 degrees at 850 HPA. That's hot. So it's very extended range stuff. It's going into the final week of July. Just a few hints, perhaps, that the last week of July might do something a little bit hotter. Now, the precipitation spikes are looking quite dramatic, actually. So, relatively dry over the next couple of days down in London. After that, though, we have got precipitation spikes from midweek through to the end of the week. That's been caused by heavy showers. Then going drier through this period just here, which is kind of like the weekend and into the early part of next week. And then it looks like it goes quite a lot more unsettled in the extended range, going into sort of the third week, then towards the fourth week of July. I was saying in yesterday's video for Sunny Roundup, but I think this new sort of ensemble chart, this projection, if you like, is kind of overdoing the precipitation spikes a little bit. So this is how it looks to old wetter central for London. The precipitation spikes are there, you'll notice, but they don't look anywhere near as dramatic on this chart, on this view. They don't look anywhere near as dramatic as they do on the new view. So I think this new version of Wet Central, the ensemble graphs, are kind of overdoing the precipitation bites, but are making them look a little bit more dramatic than they actually are. It's due to a projection, I think, of the map, of the graph, if you like. So just always bear that in mind in future when we show you these graphs. Most of the time, sometimes we will show you this old version of Web Central while it's still running. I assume eventually Web Central will get rid of the old version of their website and will no longer be able to access these charts. But while we can, for occasionally we will still show you the old version. But more often than not, we will show you the new version of Web Central. And do bear in mind that the graphs do look a little bit more dramatic, perhaps, than they are on the precipitation side of things anyway. It is an indication, though, that as we go into kind of like the final week of July, it could be turning more unsettled. But I think there is also a chance in this final week of July that we might start to pull on some hotter air as well. And that is evident on this chart also. You can see these ensemble members just here, again, heading up towards this 20-degree mark. Very extended range stuff, but just the outside chance that the last week of July could get a lot hotter. Temperature anomalies from the 8th to the 16th of July, generally a little bit above average of the UK and Ireland, most parts of France, Spain and Portugal and Scandinavia too. It's really from Germany eastwards that have got these cooler or even colder than average temperature anomalies. That's because there's that big trough, of course, extending down the eastern side of Europe. Precipitation anomalies look like that. Bit of a north-south split for the UK, actually. So for much of England and Wales, close to average or a little bit drier than average. The far south and southwest. Further north, it's actually coming out a little bit wetter than average. So this is how the GFS operation run is looking for Thursday. Wednesday, Thursday like to be very showery. It could be heavy showers with a risk of thunderstorms even mix in. Friday, still showery, but this ridge of high pressure just beginning to strengthen a little bit down to our southwest. As we go into the weekend, high pressure takes over. So that's how things look on Sunday next week. We're under a large area of high pressure, 1,020 millibars. That looks pretty good. Lots of dry and warm weather on offer for all of our events that are coming up over the weekend. Into next week, that high pressure still with us on Monday, bringing another dry and warm day. But after that, we find the high pressure beginning to weaken as low pressure starts to move in from the Atlantic. Only shallow areas of low pressure, but we're not going really dramatically unsettled, but it does turn more showery again through the course of next week after a drier and warmer interlude over the weekend. And then the extended range, rather, GFS does eventually turn things very unsettled with deep areas of low pressure heading in off the Atlantic and a really cool northerly wind. However, that is like 2 weeks away. It's very, very extended range, so I don't think we worry about that at all, really. GEM looks like this, so again rather showery on Thursday. Some of those showers could be quite heavy. Those showery conditions still with us into Friday. Then over weekend, high pressure establishes or re-establishes across the country, bringing lots of dry and warm weather. That lasting into the early part of next week. And with the GEM, actually we keep this ridge going through much of next week, actually. So this is how we look at day 10, which is Thursday the 18th of July. We are still under this ridge of high pressure, albeit it's weakening a little bit. So it might be turning a bit showery. It's not as unsettled for next week, or not as showery for next week as the GFS is. So there is still a discrepancy, actually, about what's going to be happening next week. How showery will it get? The GEM does actually continue mainly dry and warm weather through most of next week. This is the ECMWF. Again, we've got the showery conditions coming up on Thursday. Some of them could be heavy and thundery too. Then the low pressure, kind of like as a shallow type feature across the country on Friday. Into the weekend, that low pressure drifts away to our east and high pressure re-establishes across the country, so that brings lots of dry and quite warm weather with it too. Then into the middle of next week, again, going a bit more showery, so it's more in line with the GFS than the GEM, the ECMWF today, so rather showery through the middle part of next week. Quite cool conditions too. And that's how we look at the at day 10, which is Thursday, 18th of July. So, again, rather showery conditions. It's not desperately unsettled, but it is showery. and not particularly warm either. The winds are kind of like coming from a bit of a northerly direction. These are the options I've got on the table today from the ECMWF ensembles via the Icelandic Met Office. These are the options for the 18th of July, 240 hours away. We've got 20 members of the ECM ensembles with above average heights, high pressure out to our west and north, and below average heights, low pressure to our east. We're kind of like in a slack type pattern here. You would expect showers with that, and if anything, it would be a bit on the cool side. But then we've got these ensemble members just here, 17 of them, including the operational and the control. ECM run, the operational run is the run which you're looking at, but are more unsettled. They have actual area of low pressure below average heights over the top of the country and northern blocking. So obviously that's a cool and unsettled scenario for day 10. Then there's these 14, but are the most settled scenario. They have above average heights, close to the country and into the Atlantic. They would bring a lot of dry and quite warm weather with them, I would have thought. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This gets us to the 23rd of July. So we have the 24 members of the ECM ensembles just here with above average heights to ourselves. Otherwise, looking probably gently unsettled, rather showery, not a washout, but certainly a little bit westerly there. We've got 14 though that have above average heights centred very close to the country. That's the driest, warmest option. And then there's 13, including the ECM control run, that have high pressure in the middle of the Atlantic, low pressure to our south and east. That's probably the coolest scenario, not necessarily the most unsettled though. Probably would be a fair amount of dry weather around with that, but it would be the coolest option as the winds are coming in from the north-east. So there are a few options for 2 weeks' time within the ECM ensembles, and we see this within the other models as well. Actually, it's as early as next week, but we've got quite a lot of uncertainty at the moment. Finally, just having a look at the CFS V2. These are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first weekly period takes us from the 8th to the 14th of July. The coming week will have above average heights through the UK and extending north, with below average heights to our east. So that's that big trough of low pressure sitting across the east and the northeast of Europe. We're relatively settled under that region of high pressure of the road, although it will be going more showery. In 2 weeks' time, it is 15th to 21st of July, we have above average heights in week 2 through the UK, low pressures out to the north, generally doing something a bit like that. So again, quite a bit of dry weather on offer with that scenario, though maybe a little bit more showery at times. Week 3 strengthens the high pressure over the top of the country. This is 22nd, 28th of July, with a big ridge sitting across the top of the UK. That will be dry and potentially very warm, or maybe even hot, through the final week of July. So there were those hints within the GFS ensembles that last full week of July might go hotter. The CFS is sort of in line with that as well. It is seeing that potential. Week 4 is the 29th of July to 4th of August, with above average heights to our west and also to our northeast. There's a bit of a dip in the jet stream, so that's probably turning more unsettled with that one. Rather showery, maybe even a thundery breakdown. Week 1 temperature anomalies from the 8th to the 14th of July, much warmer than average in the week ahead. Week 2 temperature anomalies from the 15th to 21st of July, also warmer than average. Week 3 is potentially quite a hot week. This is 29th, 28th of July, significantly above average temperatures, almost going to like 2 degrees above average. So that would be a proper hot week there for the final full week of July. And still looking very warm, actually, as you go to week 4. This is 29th of July to the 4th of August. Now, the CFS might be going over the top with these above average temperatures, but if it's right, the rest of July and even into the start of August shaping up to be very warm, and there is a potential for a bit of a heat wave in the last week of July. Finally, precipitation anomalies from the 8th to the 14th of July, the coming week, is rather on the drier than average side, also looking close to average or a bit drier than average in week 2, which is the 15th to 21st of July. Week 3 also comes out drier than average of the 22nd, 28th of July. But then week 4 sees a change. This is the 29th of July to the 4th of August, and it's actually going a little bit wetter than average there. Maybe hints of a thundery breakdown, although of course it's a really, really long way off, 4 weeks away. Right, so that's it for your video for today. Still, the uncertainty continues for July, but July is turning out to be an absolutely fascinating month because all the way along it's been a very confused picture even before we got into July, but now we are well into the month of July. It's the 8th of July today, so we're already a week in, and we still see this sort of July confusion going on within the model output, and it starts as early as next week. Will next week be a relatively warm, dry week, or will it turn more showery? And then, of course, we've got real questions for the second half of the month. Will we start to pull in some hotter weather in the final sort of week to 10 days of the month? That would probably be the focus of the videos in the next few days, the rest of this week. Right, so that's it for your videos today. Tomorrow we'll be back with another week 10-day video update, and we'll have the ECMWF 30-day look ahead too. So come back for the updates tomorrow. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.